Hey Cougs, I'm just going to come out and say it. This might be one of the most special episodes I'm recording to date. First of all, it's coming out on my birthday, so that's just extra cool. But today I'm joined by two fellow board members. For those that don't know, I sit on the Cougar Collective board. And you may or may not know, but we were connected to a beer that launched. And today we're going to tell as much of that story as we can. I'm so honored and excited to be joined by my friends and colleagues, Tim and Luke. Thank you so much for being on here. I'd love for both of you just to explain a little bit about who you are and how you got connected to this whole thing. And then we're going to dive into this crazy story that came to be. And Luke, I'll have you pick us off.
Thanks for having us, Kelsey. So yeah, how things came to be. I joined the Cougar Collective kind of on a temporary volunteer basis back in the fall of 22, and it's turned into I won't say full time, but a very busy role now, and that's great. Better busy than bored. So yeah, just a labor of love, passion project kind of thing, and help wherever and however I can, and it's fun. It's stressful because I care, but it's the beer project in and of itself was really cool to be a part of, and still is. So we'll keep plugging away at stuff like that, and happy to talk more.
Awesome. Thanks for being here. Tim, tell us a little bit about you and how you got connected. And then while you're at it, if you could also give a little context of what the collective is, like when a stranger on the street asks you about it, how do you explain what that is too?
Yeah, Tim Brandle. I've been with the collective since day one. I was asked by Jack Thompson and a few other well-placed Cougs, say, "Hey, can you set this up for us?" And I was like, "Sure, of course, whatever." And that turned into, you know, doing the legal work to get it all set up, and then it turned into doing all the work to make it work. And that was not something necessarily that I was ready for, but at the same time, it was something that had to be done, and we had to get this thing off the ground. So, as far as like a origin story, it was we were trial by fire. We were born out of necessity. There was a bunch of things happening in January of 2022 that really needed to happen that should have happened in probably January of 2020, but it didn't. And so we kind of have been scratching and clawing, and now we're to this level that we're, pumping out cool things and products and things that people want, especially, what do Cougs all want? Beer. So
Beer.
that's why we're here today.
Totally. Yeah. And if you're listening to this and you're not sure what the Cougar Collective is, this is the Kelsey answer. Tim will legalize this if he needs to, but essentially, it's our response and our way of supporting student athletes through NIL. And we actually have a whole episode that is part of the origin story of the Cougar Collective. It's episode 21. If you want to check that out, Robbie Tobeck is on it and you can hear his side of things. Some things have changed and grown and evolved since then, but if you're just wanting a little bit of a history lesson of how this happened, I definitely recommend going to listen to that episode because we have a lot of beer to discuss today and we're just going to jump into that. So, Cougar Collective, NIL, there's lots of different ways we support athletes. That is definitely at the core of everything that we do. And as three of us board members sit here, everyone who's involved is, I would say, like that's non-negotiable is that passion for just really wanting to help this next generation of Cougs. It's hard work, it's fulfilling work, but it's a cool thing to be a part of. And the story today is about the beer. So I think first things first, I think we have to talk a little bit about how the beer came to be. And I actually want to hear both of your versions of this story because maybe you have different details. And Tim, I'll have you share first from your perspective. Like, how did the beer come to be in your lane, your viewpoint on this?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, truthfully, as I run some of the social media accounts, and over time, was as the NIL space changed, Boise State came out with a beer, and everyone was like, "Whoa, they can do that! Oh my gosh, they can do that!" And so everybody on social media immediately was like, "We need a beer. Why don't we have a beer? Let's make a beer." And my response to most of these people was, "Sure." Not entirely sure how we're supposed to do that. And then as things weren't entirely volunteer based board, so we do this in our spare time. So it's not like we can devote all of our time to this. So the next step was basically finding who in our network could do this. Who in our network could help us get there. And the first place we looked was, hey, there's got to be Cougs in the bar, restaurant, beer industry that we can lean on and ask questions. And so we went through Cougs First, which, you know, several of us are also board members on the Cougs First board. And so that was a very easy transition for most of us just to say, hey, who in your network can help us? Like, we need help doing this because clearly this is a need, and it's very low hanging fruit. It's just very difficult to do. Like, there's a lot more work and mechanization that people don't understand when it comes to just like rolling out a beer. Because people are, as soon as we launch the beer, you know, and there'll be people on this who watch this show go, oh yeah, what about the cider? What about the wine? What about the vodka? What about the, and they say, oh great, that's awesome, that's perfect, that's great. If I had 70 hours a week to devote to this, if Luke had 80 hours a week to devote to this, we might have it already. But we lean on people with specific skills who can help us. You know, it came out of necessity. We know that Iowa State and a lot of others, these collectives have these beers, and it's about time for the Cougs to flex our, you know, we don't lose a party muscle. So
Yeah, we are late to the party, but we will make up ground in a hurry.
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah, and I think that's what people don't realize is that as cool as it would have been if we were the trendy cool kids that came up with that beer idea and were the first to do it, but other people were doing it and we were like, that aligns with Cougar culture if we can find a way. And also I think part of it too is just how strong our hospitality program is for a college. I mean, I think it was just a matter of asking around until eventually we would land on some people we could connect with and find a way to make it happen. So I'm not surprised at all. What was that tipping moment between this is a good idea and people were tweeting you and DMing you and messaging you, Tim, to like, who kind of started to gain momentum and be like, okay, we should really make this happen?
You know, we had some benefactors who came forward who said, I'll do this. You know, I will fund whatever it needs to be funded to make this a reality. And because, I mean, truly, we had to find a partner in the beer industry first, which, you know, of course, we used Cougs First to do that. And we found Pike Brewing and we found Seattle Hospitality Group. We pulled that lever right away. And they stepped forward and said, yeah, absolutely, we'll take that on. Like, what do you need from us? How can we help you? And it took the nudge of someone saying, hey, we'll pay for you to hire consultants to do this. And that's what it took. Because obviously we're not going to take money out of our NIL fund support our student athletes to make a beer. I mean, it would have been a good investment, but at the same time, we weren't going to ever take away from our pool to develop a beer. It just felt weird. It felt wrong. So
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, Luke, do you have anything to add from your experience in helping this off the ground?
Yeah, I mean, Tim hit a lot of nails on the head. Yeah, leveraging Cougs First was arguably the most important step that we took in the whole thing. And then, yeah, we had some very good supporters and donors that were willing to kind of bankroll the project, if you will, because we didn't know really where to start, to be honest. Other than that, we knew it was a home run. If we could swing, we'd knock it out of the park. And so it was just figuring out how to swing in a very efficient way, I guess, or I don't know what word to use, but yeah, I mean, the number of partners through Cougs First and that we had kind of involved in this project at various times. I mean, it was several. So it was a team effort. The collective, I guess, deserves credit, but we were not in it alone. And there's a lot of people that we owe a big thanks to as we've finally launched it and are starting to see the benefits of it.
Totally. And for those listening, don't sleep on Cougs First and getting connected. I think it's one thing to be on the platform and be a $100 member, but as this was all coming to be, I think where the power really happened was the personal relationships. It was saying like, hey, this is the specific skill set we need, and then reaching out to the Cougs First community and saying like, who within in that community do we know who does that? And that comes with relationships and conversation and working on building those. And so if you're a member thinking of it, join, but also get connected, talk to people, make those relationships. Because I think that a lot of this was word of mouth relationship based too. And yeah, just a little food for thought for any of my business people listening, because I'm always trying to help them, you know?
absolutely, we walk the Cougs First walk for sure
100%.
when especially it came to this and to lean into the relationship aspect of it. The folks who help us, you know, who took us to that next level, it is a passion project for every single one of them. So whether, they stayed within the bounds of they agreed to what their contractor paid, they all go above and beyond 100%. Like this is something that they're like, wow, I don't want to, I don't even need it. This is something I want to do. This is fun. This is great. And that's just how Cougs think and Cougs work. And that's how the Cougar Collective functions, is because we have so many passionate people who want to help us. And that's literally why we're an entire volunteer-based organization.
Yeah.
Luke speaks to it. Luke came to us and said, how can I help? And we just, at the time it was there's only a 2-man operation, myself and another gentleman. And we were like, any way you can, please help us. Now he's here.
And he's still here.
Right.
Thank you, Luke. Well, and speaking of collaborations, Cougs First is a huge one. Obviously, there was a lot of just mutual beneficial stuff that happened there. But another one is tied to the name of the beer. It's called Old Crimson Legendary Lager. So I'm hoping we can talk more about how that all came to be. How was that initial idea? And then what were the actual steps that needed to happen? Luke, I'll let you take it. If you have anything to add first, then Tim can fill in.
Yeah, the fact that the Old Crimson Booster Club is involved with this, really can't put that into words, how much that means and the difference it made. We when we first started the project, they were on our mind and like, wow, is there a way we could pull this off? And there's so many pieces to the puzzle that you kind of get distracted, I guess, at times. And so then as we kind of worked our way through and we're getting close to the end, I'm like, hey, we got to actually name this thing now and figure out what we're going to do. And we had a variety of names that we came up with on our own. And we hadn't officially, I guess, reached out to Old Crimson Booster Club. And so that kind of happened through Jack and another guy by the name of Jim Carey he did the beer logo, like he designed the can, if you will, or the label, I should say. Yeah, there you go. Did an awesome job.
Get it.
Yeah, Jim's work is amazing. So Jim and Jack got in touch, and the turnaround was super fast. I think they held a quick, I don't even know if it was I think it was just like a text vote, and it was unanimous. They're like, we love it. We want to we're in. And, we had to figure out a trademark agreement from there and get permission legally to use their name as part of the name and all that. But I've said this before, we knew we had a home run on our hands, and getting Old Crimson to be a part of it turned it into a grand slam.
Yeah, we had a list, 50 names that, we kind of pulled together, there was probably 10 or 11 of us between the brewery and all the different people involved with the project who were thinking, and we all kind of threw out all these ideas, and we were getting towards the end, and we'd whittled it down to like Palouse Juice, Palouse Pilsner, there were a few, and then my favorite, Name, Image, and Lager, which did not get any traction, immediately voted off the island. But I was so proud of it, and nobody thought it was cool. But at the end, we were kind of like, none of us were really in love with it. So Jack Thompson just said, hey, let me talk to Tom Pounds. And the next day was like, oh yeah, absolutely, do it.
Yeah, it was super fast. Yeah.
And we were just like, okay, 100%. It was just, goes back to what I said. Cougs just said, yeah, how can I help? And they were like, immediately, let us use their trademark. Can't thank them enough, because yeah, the beer is delicious if you have not had it. Pike did not phone in the development of this beer. They used Palouse sourced organic hops to make this Pilsner, and it is delicious. And so we didn't phone in the beer, we didn't phone in the name, we didn't phone in the can. So it's like this, probably Cougs would have drank it anyway, even if it wasn't very good, but it's a quality beer, and we're proud of it.
Yeah, and to give a quick timeline, so other people may or may not have had beers first, whatever, we're not cool. However, the idea came to fruition, some momentum and traction came forward because Cougs said, hey, let's make this happen, let's find a way. We found a partnership, and who's going to make this thing? We got a name, and then we had a story to tell, and we had this group of this amazing couple. I don't even know how to explain the Hurleys, but this amazing couple who stepped up and said, hey, let's take your little iPhone videos, take it to the next level. And this crazy, I don't even know how else to explain it, but this crazy just mission came to be, and I feel like we got to talk about it. So Tim,
Yep.
your perspective on kind of the marketing of this thing will go, and then I may add a thing or two, but Tim, you go first.
It's gonna sound even more funny than it is because so I lived in Straight Perham in 2003 with Cassie Hurley. And Cassie, we were friends on Facebook and we were friends, and we had lunch and breakfast every single day in the dorms when we were freshmen. And so we were good friends. And one day she found out that I was like involved somehow with Cougar Collective, and she just reached out and said, "Hey, my husband and I own a media group. We do media production, we do advertising, we do all kinds of stuff. Can we help you?" I was like, "Yes, yeah, absolutely. Like, have you seen my tweets? Like, please, everything you can do to help us would be. And they came with just arms wide open, said, "We'll do this, 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 this. We'll do X, Y, Z. We'll come in and we'll do all these things. And we said, okay, yeah, sure, absolutely. Like, what do you want for this?" And they said, "Absolutely nothing. Like, this is the coolest thing we could possibly do with our time. Like, our son and our daughter get to like hang out with WSU, their heroes. They get to meet John Mateer. They get to meet, so and so, meet Jake Dicker. High five. This is a passion for them." And they were like so excited about it. And so when it came to the beer, they said, "Oh, we got to make a commercial." I said, "Oh, we do? Okay, sure. I'm not sure how to do that." And Brian goes, "Well, here, I have all this equipment. I'll drive it over to Pullman for the QV Classic golf tournament, which is in April, right before the spring game, and we'll figure out a way to film this thing." And we're like, "Okay, cool. Like, great. We'll wave a flag. We'll do X, Y, Z." And then we found out that Gardner Minshew was going to be in town. And that we didn't find out until, kind of like the last minute, because obviously NFL quarterback, very busy. And it took all the stars aligning. It took Dwayne Brailsford picking Gardner up with his plane and driving him or flying him to Pullman directly from the Raiders facility, essentially. Like, Gardner had, he didn't have to wait. He just pick up, land, Pullman, ready to go, ready to have fun. And it didn't even happen until the night before the golf tournament I apologize. It wasn't the golf tournament. It was the spring game that we said, "Hey, Gardner, can you please film a commercial for this beer?" And to his credit, same thing as everybody else, was like, "Yeah, absolutely. When can I? Yeah, absolutely. I'm in. I'll make it happen." And we're like, "Seriously?" And he was like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Oh, okay." Like, then the day of, didn't realize that the athletic department wanted to do promos with him, and they took his time. They took all of it. And so Brian and his crew filmed that whole thing in 15 minutes. They told us they needed a couple hours, and they did the whole thing in 15 minutes. And they just did it and waited there the entire time for Gardner to be done. If you look at the field that the beer commercial was filmed in, and then if you look at that funny school bus photo that the school leaked, they're the same field. So you can understand, but to his credit, Gardner was amazing. Just said, "Yeah, absolutely. Let me help. What can I do?" It all came together because of people like the Hurleys, who just said, let's take it and run. Let's do something cool with it." And Luke and I just said, "Okay, what do you need from us?" Bought a flag. I gave him a sweatshirt. He had that sweatshirt. That's my sweatshirt. Thanks, Gardner. It's all yours, buddy.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. It's all his. I don't
Worth
care.
it.
Worth it. Worth it.
Totally.
But that's kind of, sorry, that's a really long-winded answer.
Yeah, I mean, Luke, do you have anything to fill in there?
Um, I'll echo the Hurleys are amazing. And Cassie, I believe it was officially
It was
her
her
idea
idea.
to say,
Yeah.
let's get Gardner. That was Cassie's idea. And it took a team effort to pull that off. Jack helped with some introductions, and Bill Stevens with WSU in terms of kind of coordinating, because Gardner had a very full schedule, and so we were squeezing in, and we wanted to be respectful of what he'd already committed to, and that the university was counting on for him. We didn't want to pull him away from any of that. We just were hoping for a sliver, or, it was supposed to be a couple hours. It didn't work out, and that's okay. We pulled it off anyway, and he was so gracious and accommodating, and I'm pretty sure he had a lot of fun with it. So it was a win-win for all of us, and it took a lot of coordination, but in the end, I mean, when we released that commercial, it exploded, and we've kind of never looked back since.
Yeah, I feel like the theme with this beer is just so much momentum, and every additional partnership that happened and came to the table really brought it to the next level. And having been in, I was part of getting Carter in. I mean, the fact that it went from like, I hope we can get him to
Yeah,
someone we may have mentioned in the episode literally telling me not to bug him and not to ask, and me going against that and doing it anyways. And
yeah,
then honestly, Gardner being amazing and saying yes. And then also this moment of like, oh my God, I hope he shows up. I hope he actually
yeah.
follows through. And it was just so cool that it all came together. And I think that it just this whole thing is a true passion project, and it in that commercial really just took it to the next level that I don't think we could have with anybody else under any other circumstance. Definitely watch it. What?
The Cougs First QB Classic was the reason we were
Yeah,
able to get
there you
Gardner
go.
because we were all there.
Yeah,
It was through Cougs First. Like all roads lead.
totally. I mean, I think this is like the exact example of how that can be. And
Mm.
it's just crazy. It's been a cool thing, and now as some of you have maybe tried the beer, you've seen it around, it's getting out there, and we're just super excited. So I'd love to talk a little bit more about what's to come next. Like, what can people expect? I know everyone in a dream world just wishes this thing would like land on their doorstep and be door dashed everywhere. And for multiple reasons, we can't do that. But what we can tell you is, I don't know, paint a little bit of a picture of what's to come. So Tim, can you give us the lay of the land of what to look forward to?
Yeah, well, I mean, our original plan was obviously to do a soft launch and launch the product at Cougs First Seattle show in May, knowing that the production had not ramped up, and Pike stood like just said, "Hey, we'll have two or three kegs ready, and then maybe I don't know, three or four flats of beer, and we can have those ready for you." But the production was not there yet. We knew that there was going to be this lull, and we've been working through those lulls, and we've been working through that distribution. I mean, again, beer is very the the actual economics of it is not that hard to understand, but the politics of it very difficult to understand. Like how it all, how it just can't go to where we want it to go. No, that's illegal. So, I mean, our goal was to launch, have the beer in people's hands August and September for football season, like
Yeah,
to have it ready for the fall, and we're right on track. We're talking to major grocery stores. We're getting into major grocery stores. We're getting it to all the bars. You've kind of seen the different bars that have sort of announced that, hey, we have this on tap. Hey, we have this on tap. There is no longer by September and August, there are no longer will be any lag and delay or people who want to have that order fulfilled or distributed to them. For example, in our brethren in the Tri-Cities in Vancouver, I promise we're coming. I know you've been super patient, and everybody hits me on, all the social media channels. When can I get it in Kennewick? When can I get it in Vancouver? It's coming. Promise, it's coming. We've been assured that it's coming, and all the new stuff that's coming out, like they're going to sell them in 12 packs. So people are going to start to see. We have new art for 12 packs that are going to come out, and people are going to love that. You're going to be able to buy them in gas stations of all places. So we'll have them in gas stations. We'll have them in every bar you want to drink them at. We'll have them at every grocery store. Just be patient. It's coming. I promise.
very close.
It's coming.
Yeah. I was telling Luke earlier that I got a photo from a friend who bought it at the local grocery store down here, and I was like, "Yes. Where'd you have to go?" And then she told me, and it was really convenient, and I was like, I knew it was coming, but this stuff takes time, and you guys,
Mhm.
you're not in the beer business, so there's
Right?
just a lot happening behind the scenes, and unfortunately, when you know a Twitter handle, you're gonna send a DM. So
Hmm.
yeah, but
Yeah.
we're
Yeah,
excited
we
and
we love
definitely,
seeing those stories though, where it just pops up, and
yeah,
people are excited.
yeah,
It's like we don't have any control over that, so we're just fans, no different than everybody else at that point.
exactly, yeah,
People ask where to get it.
yeah,
We don't know. We'll never know. That's
yeah,
not, it just, we can't know. That's part of the weird intricacies of,
Yeah, we're not licensed to be
yeah,
able to, yeah, facilitate
have.
or control that.
I do know that my friend bought all 13 cases at Hagen's in Lake Stevens last week. So thanks for that. I appreciate that. For not letting anybody else have any. Not going to drop his name, but he knows who he is.
well, and I think that kind of brings up a good point for those that don't know. a portion of the proceeds go back to the athletes, obviously. So of course we launched a beer, that's cool, but literally part of the proceeds go back to the athletes. And then I'll be careful in how I word this, but different business owners can also choose to kind of do additional fundraising type activities beyond that if they're having their own events too. And that's been really cool to see. So you're literally making a difference. This is
Yeah.
what I will say, right? And I think that's really neat. But the beer thing's not the only thing that Cougar Collective does. And I know I wanted to tell the story of how this beer came to be because it was honestly just so crazy and so cool. But I also just want people to know beer is more, there's more to what the collective does. So could you both kind of share some ways that people can give? Luke, actually, I'd love for you to share some of the auction stuff. I think that's really cool and exciting. And then Tim, you can share some of the other ways that people can get connected.
Yeah, no, we just this week, hot off the press, launched our excuse me, our auction site. Just kind of dipping our toe in the water to start with a few things, but the idea is obviously we'll add a lot more, and it'll be on a hopefully on a just about a weekly basis that we'll have new drops. And it's been received really well so far. I mean, I think it ends tonight officially, and we're up to over or just right around $1,500, and this is our first one, so that's pretty good. So yeah, autograph merch. We're going to try to get into listening experiences, things like that. That'll be super exciting. So that's yeah, that's one. We're trying. You know, we have our 1890 club, and we have people that give us regular monthly donations, and we have a lot of generous people that give us one-off donations of larger, not as large as we'd like amounts, but that one-timers all count. And so we're trying to think of ways to give ourselves revenue streams that don't rely always on donations, if you will. And the beer was the first, and rightfully so. But doing auctions, we're going to try and get a coffee partnership going. Everybody asked us about when we did the release at the Cougs First show. Probably out of every 10 people that came up and said great job, 8 or 9 of them said, when are you doing wine? So we're going to try and do a wine. That's one project at a time. We are kind of a small volunteer team, but we're hoping to have a pretty good portfolio of stuff that our fans will love, and we'll bring in some money for NIL and student athletes, and have a way for us all to enjoy it.
Yeah, Tim, other ways people can connect or support?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you follow our social media, all of our different handles, we're on, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and those things. You'll kind of see that we do try to keep things interesting. We try to do different things as much as we can. With this auction idea, there's going to be these really cool, fun experiences that we can use to like have fun type of interaction. Like one of the ideas we're kicking around is, play video games with one of the student athletes. And moms and dads can buy that for their son or daughter to play, some game with one of these student athletes, because that's what they do when they're tired. They all play video games. They're just like we were when we were kids. They play video games. And so having that kind of, off the cuff kind of, curious and new kinds of ways to do stuff, like that's stuff we love to do. You can also come visit us. So we're gonna have all these. We did it last year in Pullman. Before all the home football games, not all the home football games, but select home football games, we'll have events at the lumber yard in Pullman, and those events, they're free to come to for 1890 club members, and we kind of have a host bar, but we're trying to mix things up and stuff like that. But we go there and we bring student athletes to those events so you can mingle and mix and get to know them on a personal level, because I think that's one of the most interesting and unique parts of this whole experience is that getting to know these young men and women on a personal level, through interactions and helping them try to understand how NIL works has been one of the best and most enjoyable parts of this experience. And I encourage anybody to come to our events so they can do that and learn that these kids are just like all wonderful people. Like the Cougs, they're salt of the earth people, and they're the reason why most of these men and women committed to come to WSU is because they loved the scenery just as much as everybody else who listens to this podcast does too. Like they're there for the same reasons. Like they love it. And so come to our events, follow us on social media. If you're so inclined, please consider joining the 1890 club. There are perks and there's cool different experiences that you can get when you do that. And honestly, each person counts. Every single person counts. We're up to about 2,000 people, and that that 2,000 people has really changed the game for us, but there's always room to grow. Yeah, if we simply had, half of the people who have season tickets at the $18.90 level, we would have as much funding as Georgia, and that would simply just be $18.90, and if we had that type of money, then we could spread the support across every single sport, as like and retain all these student athletes that these coaches are begging us for retention. None of these coaches are asking us, for a big pot of money to go fishing and finding people in this transfer portal. All they want to do is keep those passionate Cougs in Pullman. That's their only thing they want, is to be able to show them that we can support them the way that they can and should be supported in this new reality, because everybody else is. So we have to step up, and we have to be the engine that really shows these kids that being a Coug is more, and we want to keep them here. So
Yeah.
that's my used car sales pitch. I don't know if that's my pitch. That's my
That was
pitch.
way better than used car sales.
Yeah, I was just gonna say,
that's my pitch.
I think here's the deal with people with the Cougar Collective. What's unique about it is the connection to these people. Not only the people, but also the coaches. You hear the passion in their voice that they have for what the work they do and why Pullman, and the asks they have are simple and they're human. It's, hey, can my parents come watch me play? Or, hey, can we provide lunches for these kids? I mean, it's crazy. And this beer is one way that we're able to expand our offer suite, if you will. And I'm glad it came to be. I think it's really cool. And I think now there's so many ways to get connected and support the Cougar Collective. This is just one more way to do it. That feels very natural for a lot of us, right? So anyways,
No arm
I
twisting.
I do think I'm speaking to the choir. Yes. I appreciate you both being on. And like I said, I have some rapid fire questions that are specially curated for the both of you. So
Oh.
I think we pivot to that. Are you guys ready?
Sure.
Specially curated. I'm worried now.
Okay, so I'll ask these, and each time I'll have you answer first, then Luke. So first question, canned or on draft?
Oh, on draft. No
And
question. Can? Oh, wow. Okay.
I'm a little older.
Okay,
Yeah,
fair.
yeah.
Fair.
Okay, number two, describe the taste of the Old Cribson Legendary Lager in one word.
Smooth.
Outstanding.
Yeah. Okay, which Coug alumni do you wish you could take a selfie with?
Uh, I'd probably have to go with John Olerud. Would be my guy.
I'm going to say Leon Bender. Rest in peace.
Oh, good
Awesome.
one. That's a
Love
good
it.
one.
What's the best part about being a Coug?
Passion. The passion of it. Like you can't compare it to other schools. There's nothing like it. Rolling over coming down 95 and rolling into Pullman, and slowing down in Colfax, and turning left on Grand and going up Stadium. Like there's no better feeling.
If this was a one-word answer, I'd say everything. It's not, but that's how I'd start. Like it's actually really hard to put into words. But once you become a Coug, it's so infectious, and it never leaves you.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
So true. And then last question, what's one thing you wish more people knew about the Cougar Collective?
Oh, jeez. That the money that these student athletes earn, that they work hard to earn and get, they spend it. They do not spend it how you think they'd spend it. They spend it how you think we would spend it when you were 20 years old. Like they spend it wisely. Like most of these kids use it very smart. They're not buying gold chains and doing stupid stuff with it. They're buying groceries or furniture, or sending it back to their parents. Like a lot of them send it back to their parents and support their families back where they're from. And that's something that I was not expecting when I first started doing this, and it's like heartwarming. That's it.
We've kind of already hinted at this at times during the discussion, but wanting everybody to know we're a volunteer-based organization. We're very grassroots. We're all in it for the love of the Cougs. We're not taking big salaries. It it's something that we believe is very critical to this day and age in college athletics. Nobody disputes that. But there's a lot of stories you see on the news or you hear about, with NIL stuff going sideways, and we try really hard in partnership with WSU and the athletic department and the CAF to stay on the right side of all that as much as we can. And so hopefully we've earned people's trust, and we will continue to. And that over time will make a huge difference. We just need people to jump on board and be supportive, and we can all achieve great things together.
Yeah, totally agree. And then lastly, if people are listening to this episode and they just want to find out more about what we have going on at the collective, what's the best place for them to get connected?
Social media, and visit our website, www.cougarcollective.org. You can sign up for the mailing list. You can visit, you can figure out the different projects that we have going on. You can buy merchandise.
Yeah.
Hey, we get a good cut of all the dollars earned from the merchandise, and that's probably it.
Yeah.
We have a TV show coming.
Yeah.
Forgot about the TV show.
Inside the Den.
Yeah, probably follow on social to learn more about that.
Yes, and that's, again, shout out to Hurley Media for doing everything for it, including getting the sponsorships, connecting with all the affiliates, the CW affiliates in the state of Washington, essentially so it's going to be on CW in August, in every market within the state of Washington.
Yeah, Como Sinclair is helping us with all that. So
yeah.
Like I said, Cougs are showing up for us, and I think that's the story we want to tell today. So thank you both so much for coming on and helping bring this story to light. I think it was important and needed, and I'm just excited for what's to come. This is just the beginning. So thank you so much, and go Cougs.
Thanks for having us. Go Cougs.